You scroll through hundreds of job descriptions, but they all sound the same. You spend so much time on every application, but it doesn't seem to matter. You send off application after application, but never hear back. You thought the interview went so well, but it's a no. You jump through all the hoops. The news keeps saying how there are all these employers that are struggling to find people to hire. So why does finding a great job have to be so hard? It doesn't seem very logical or fair. It's not. The system is broken. It's not your fault. The process most people go through to get a job is awful. But here's the good news. The system isn't very smart. In fact, it's downright dumb. It can be beaten. How? Most prospective employers and employees today are using the same old tired strategies that have been around forever. It's like professional camouflage. Everybody just blends into the crowd. But you don't have to be that way anymore. You can get traction. You can stand out from the crowd to unleash your God-given potential, to help a world in need, to do work that matters, to earn what you and your family deserve. You can do this. You're meant to do this. There are bright things on the horizon for you. This is the way. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the workshop. Get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. My name is Eric Woodard. I'm a high-performance career and leadership coach based out of Washington, D.C. And if you're here on this Tuesday, the Ides of July, I just want to acknowledge you for being here. You're so smart for being here. If you're somebody who's watching the recording, you are also very smart and cool. Maybe not quite as cool as the people who are actually here. I know how valuable your time is, and I just really appreciate you being here. Especially if you're somebody on the job hunt, like, let's get that handled. So mostly I want to make sure people can hear me. If you would put in the chat where you're from and how long you've been on the job hunt. And we're going to get going right now because a lot of times being on a long job hunt, Pamela and Scott and Cindy and Linda and Kevin can feel like pounding sand, right? Sometimes being on a long job hunt can feel like, like waiting on a glacier, Nick in Boise and Karen in Massachusetts and George in Jacksonville. Sometimes it can feel like wandering through the desert, Patrick in Minneapolis and Jacqueline in Tampa and Thomas in Texas and Klaus in Boston. Mississippi, Trey in Nashville. Sometimes it can feel like you're going into an arena, Guy in Pittsburgh and Bill in LA and Stone in Boston and Scott in Texas. Sometimes it can feel like looking into an abyss. I see there Devin in Dallas and Glory in Lexington and Scott in Rehoboth. So who is this for? I see there Carlos, right, in Alabama. If you are somebody who's unsure about the direction you want your career to go, if you've been struggling to find ways to decide what you do, Sarah in Chicago and Michelle in Houston, if you're uncertain about if your resume is any good, if you've been wrestling with how to show up after you apply, Zuleika in Las Vegas and Trista in Salt Lake, if you're tired of applying and then you get nothing back, right? I see there Kustava in India and Shane in Wisconsin. If you're doing interviews that seem to go great and then you get a big fat no, Umar in Connecticut. And if you're trapped in a job that you just know you just really want to escape, I see there Remus, right? I see there Lizelle. And Remus wants us to get to the point. Remus says that would be great, right? Especially if you're losing hope. This is a workshop for you. So who's this nod for? So could be Remus, those who want me to get to the point, right? Because this is the point. If you're super critical about your, casual about your career, if you're not willing to do the work, if you're reluctant to take responsibility for the results you've been getting, I see you there, Melissa. If you're just interested in finding a job to make money, Fernando in Tallahassee, right? If you're just sort of stuck in your ways and you kind of know what you want to, know what the issue is, right? I see there, Markana in Atlanta. If you're unwilling to be authentic, this may not be the workshop for you. So what you're going to get today, how to get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. That's a lot of applications, Marilee. I see you there, Dan, in California to Kentucky. I see you there, Natalie, in New Orleans. I'm going to offer you 4 strategies, 9 tactics so that you can do work that matters and pays what you and your family deserves. So here's our agenda today. Who is this guy? I'm just going to tell you a little bit about who I am, not much, right? Just so that maybe I know what I'm talking about. I'll offer you 4 strategies, 9 tactics. I am going to have an invitation. I saw somebody earlier saying, as soon as you ask for a credit card, I'm getting off. Well, I'm not going to ask you for a credit card on this call, but I do have an invitation because some of you have joined this call. You already know how we help people get hired fast. You already, you're joining this call because you want to book a call with us. If that's you, the only things I ask, and we're going to talk about this later, but is that if you book a call with us, you're going to show up. You're ready to get started and you're at least interested in making an investment in yourself. And if that's not you, that's fine. You're going to get a lot of value from this workshop. But if that is you and you already know you want to book a call, that's the call link. Again, no pressure. We'll talk about that later. But again, you're going to show up for the call. I see you there, Lisa. 6 months after a layoff, that's no good, right? And then we're going to do some Q&A. All right, folks. So here we go. Who is this guy and why does he think he can help me find a job? Well, I don't know if I can help you find a job or not, but just to tell you a little bit about where I grew up in Asia. I came to the States when I was 17. I wound up transferring college 7 times. Here I am in the Midwest wondering why it's so cold, right? I wound up as a scuba instructor on the island of Guam, where I spent about 10,000 hours underwater, right? And that was pretty cool. But after that much time underwater, I thought, man, my brain's getting a little spongy. I got to do something more with my life. So I thought, what would be the most prestigious job I could have? And I thought, well, that must be something like the White House. So I took out a piece of paper and I wrote a letter to the president. And I said, "Dear Mr. President, you should hire me." And it was like the worst cover letter you've ever seen. David, you've never seen a cover letter this bad, right? It was terrible. And I figured I'm never hearing back from those guys. But about a month later, I was going past the Guam post office and they came out and they were like, "Eric, you got this letter from the White House." And I opened it up and it was an internship application. I didn't know what the hell an internship was, but I was really good at filling out applications. So I filled that out and sent it in. And I said, well, I'm never going to hear back from those guys, but at least I had the cool envelope from the White House, which I thought was pretty cool. I'd never seen a White House envelope, but I'm like, I'm probably never hearing back from that thing. And of course I didn't, but that got me thinking. I got inspired. I applied to some grad schools. I got into GW and wound up coming to DC, was sort of like dumpster diving for furniture and had this big bushy haircut. and was, just wandering around. One time I bought a pair of running shoes. It was out running on the National Mall. And I passed the White House, and I was like, those White House bastards, they never even bothered to let me know about that internship thing. And so that sort of made me mad. So I found a payphone, put in a quarter. I called them up. I said, hey, you White House people, what about that internship thing? And they're like, is this Eric from Guam? I'm like, yeah, but I'm in DC now. They're like, man, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You start in the First Lady's office on Monday. I thought, well, that was interesting. So I got a haircut, bought some shoes, and I showed up, right? Hey, Vanessa, you just booked a call with us. Way to go. We'll look forward to talking to you, Vanessa Mario, okay? So I showed up. And look, my friends, I don't know your politics. I know there's a lot of crazy political stuff going on in the United States right now. So if my politics don't match yours, I apologize. And this is going to tell you how old I am. This is back during the Clinton administration. I went to work for Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was an awesome boss, right? I wound up getting hired on her staff in Hillary Land, was with her the entire second administration of the Clinton administration, wound up following her to the U.S. Senate, where I was with her for all 8 years. Then I followed her to the State Department, where I did a bunch of UNESCO stuff. And then eventually I left Hillary Land and became director of fellowships and internships at the Smithsonian Institution. And all during that time, through my career, helping people at all levels in their career, right? Early professionals, mid-career professionals, really senior people, all sorts of different disciplines. I saw the same movie over and over where people were trying to make the world a better place through the vital work they do. And because the system is just kind of so backward and unlinear and unfair, really great people, like a lot of you on this call, having trouble finding the job. So now I have my own coaching practice. I talk to a lot of people. I've written a whole bunch of books. I have an absurd number of very impressive credentials. I have glowing testimonials, and you don't care about any of that. Because what you care about is, can I help you? Right? I hear Remus out there. He's like, get to the point. I hear you, Remus, right? So let's find out. Okay, let's see if I can help you. Because can I help you get a job? I don't know. Probably, maybe. Helps a lot of people. You're going to want to write some of this down because this is going to be different than stuff you've heard before. Okay, so here we go. 4 strategies that you can use to elevate your job search right now. Okay, so let's put this in the chat. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. So we're going to put this in the chat. Who's going to get the right answer? I tend to give away things to people who do. Tell me, what's a good resume about? If you would, put it in the chat. Let's see if anybody gets it right. Right? We got a big crowd here today, so I got to keep up. We've got Jessa and Jelly and Ann helping us. So what's a good resume about? If you would put the answer in the chat, and let's see if anybody gets it right. I'll have to catch it. Okay, so accomplishments, value you bring. I like that, Chris, telling a good story, telling your story, right? My background. Ooh, Carlos says selling myself, right? Rashwanda says matching the company. I've not seen the right answer yet. How your skills will make an impact on the employer. Nope. Concise and targeted to the role you're applying for. Skill set, right? Nobody said the right answer yet. Telling your story. I like the story. Okay, I like stories. What you can do. Nope. Nobody's got it right yet. Right? Because, Carrie says selling yourself. Okay. So a lot of you are saying this is about me. Okay. Guys talking about ATS, right? A lot of you, why you are the perfect fit. So a lot of you are using this word here, right? Melissa says your value prop. Nope. Guys, look, you want to be influential with another human being. The first thing you talk about is what? Them. A good resume is not about you. It's about them. It's about the person or organization you're applying to, right? And I see people saying it's how you solve their problem. Nah, it's not about you. It's about them. There, Chris, you got it right. Chris was the first answer I saw. So Chris, we're going to send you a free course. This is Chris Wolf. We're going to send you a free course about how to make your LinkedIn profile awesome. So Chris, you are the first correct answer. And Markana is saying she's got it right too. So let's make sure we send one to Markana, right? Markana Banks, right? A good resume is about them. And when I say your resume, I'm talking about your cover letter, your follow-up, your networking. It's not about you. It's about them. So many job seekers are going out there thinking, let me talk about myself. Me, right? It's not about you. It's about the person or organization you're applying to, because trust me, that's what they're thinking about. So if you get nothing else from this workshop today, get this, right? Get this, right? Sarah says she should get a second. Okay, Sarah, we're going to keep an eye on you. Okay. You want to make it about them because employers are focused on themselves. And look, folks, it's no wonder that we think an application's about us, because very likely the first resume we put together was coming out of school. And in school, it is about us. It's our cubby, right? It's our desk. It's our worksheet. It's our report card. It's our transcript, or it's our diploma, right? So in school, it is about us. And yet when we move to the working world, it suddenly becomes about them, the customer, the client, the constituent, the shareholder. It's not about us. So if this is the only thing you change in your job search, this will change the game for you, especially if you've been out there selling yourself, Carlos. We don't want to do that because that's weird, right? We've gone over that historically. Selling people's weird, buying people's weirder. Don't do that. Okay, so let's talk about strategy number 2. If I went to hey, it looks like Karen Brophy, you just booked a call. Way to go, Karen. Karen's going to show up, right? She's going to be open to investing in herself, and we're going to get stuff handled. We look forward to meeting you. Okay, so if I went to a library and I went to a shelf of books and there was a shelf full of storybooks and I looked at the front cover of each of those books, there would be some words. That's right, Karen. There'd be some words. What would we call those words? Okay, what would we call the words on the front cover of a storybook? What is it called? Right? Alex says, how do you make it about them? Well, we're going to talk more about that, Alex. You hang on. Right? So what would we call the words on the front cover of a storybook? Francis Brown. I see you, Francis. Right? Francis was the first one I saw. So Francis, we're going to send you that course about LinkedIn. It's title. You're right, Jimmy. You're right, Brenda. Right? It's called a title. Now, isn't it interesting that that's the same term we call people in the workplace, which tells me strategy number 2 is stories. Now, a lot of you said this in your resume, and a good resume does tell stories, so I want to acknowledge you. Let me ask you another question. There's always a little bit of a delay here. So let me ask this. There's another chance to win a prize here. What percent of human decision-making do you think is emotional, and what percent is logical? What's the ratio? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 40-60? What's the ratio when it comes to human decision-making of emotion to logic? Put it in the chat if you would, please. Let's see if anybody gets it right. So I see 80-20, 90-10. Jay says 80-20. Brenda says 80-20. I haven't seen the right answer yet. Christine says 70-30. Nope. Tracy says 80-20. Nobody's got it right yet. Sarah, I see you, Sarah. Sarah says 70-30. Christopher says 40-20. Nobody's got it right yet. Sandra says 95-5. Nope. Oh, Stephen Giamarco. Stephen Giamarco got it right. All right. We're going to give it to Julie too. Julie Heffron. So it's 100% emotional. And the reason we know it's 100% emotional is when somebody gets their limbic system damaged, right? The part of their brain that does emotion, they're fine, except they can't make a single decision, right? Those people are out there, we're saying we make data-driven decisions. No, they don't. No human does. Human decision-making is 100% emotional, and it happens very quickly. When you get on this webinar, right, you very quickly made a decision whether you like me, the color of my shirt, the sound of my voice. It probably happened in about 3 seconds. And now you're just rationalizing that original decision with data, right? You're listening to the words I'm saying. You're like, well, given the facts that he's saying, that supports my original decision, whatever it might have been, right? So many job seekers seek out jobs based on facts. Don't do that. Right? It's like Maya Angelou said, people will remember how you make them feel, and stories are how we transmit emotion, right? And our capacity for emotion is so much greater. Like we have the capacity to process like 40 million bits of information a second through our emotional system. And it's like 20 bits a second through our logic system. It's orders of magnitude greater. We're so much emotionally smarter than we are logically smarter. So we want to use this in our job search. So you want to make your application a story. And if you're not doing this, it's a huge opportunity. And realize that the stories, the titles that we say are just stories. And Jay's talking about ATS. Interesting you say that, Jay. We're going to get to that. I promise. We'll come back to you. All right? Because you're right. Yep. You're exactly right. Computers are 100% data-driven, which is why we're going to talk about it. Okay. So let me tell you a story. Notice that I'm telling a story. One time I had was taking a bunch of applications for a program. They were all basically the same. And one person, Maggie, told a story in her application about how the summer before she'd been in a terrible car accident and her arm had been severed. Oh no, that's a crazy story. So that stood out. So we brought Maggie in, waiting for the first day. I'm thinking about what accommodations do we need to make for this one-armed woman and stuff. She walks in the first day, 2 arms. Hey, Frahiva, you just booked a call, right? You just booked a call. We look forward to talking to you. So Maggie had 2 arms. Now, was I upset? No. It was still bandaged from where it had been partially severed and they reattached it. Maggie was doing some physical therapy. She was going to do okay. And I was so happy she had 2 arms. And I remember that story to this day, right? I probably couldn't tell you a lot else about Maggie, but I remember that story. This is the kind of stuff we want to use in our job application. Tell stories. Okay, I got another one for you. What's this guy called? Right? What's this guy called? Who can tell me what's this kid's name? I'll give you a hint. He lives in Idaho. What's this guy? She didn't lie. She told a story, Sandra. There's a big difference, right? There's a big difference. Oh, Nick, I see you, Nick. Nick says Napoleon, right? And Nick is 100% right. You're right, Kristen. So we're going to give the course to Nick, right? But I see you there. Chris and Devin, and that's right. Oh, Alice, we got to give it to Alice too. Alice Robinson, interpretive dance. Yep, we're going to give the course to Alice too. So here's the thing. Those of you who haven't seen this movie, Napoleon Dynamite, first of all, please stop your job search and go watch this movie. Come on, folks. We're trying to create a society here, please. And I don't want to ruin it for you. In this particular scene, just like Alice knows, right, there's this high school kid. His name's Napoleon. He sort of beats to his own drum. Right? He finds himself on stage in front of the entire student body at his high school, right? Entire student body at his high school. And he's managed to get a cassette tape up to the, to the sound booth, but that's it. Otherwise, it's Napoleon on stage. They start playing the music and he's got to do like a performance. So Napoleon proceeds to do like the craziest damn thing you've ever seen. I mean, he metaphorically opens the kimono. I mean, he just goes wild. And when he's done, he's sort of sweating and panting. Right? And all the students are like this, and then they burst into applause. And the reason it works is because it's so authentic. Jamie Kern-Lima, the founder of IT Cosmetics, says everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully. And she's right. And this brings us to strategy number 3, which is authenticity. Authenticity. Let me ask you a question. Who do humans hire? Humans. It's humans. Humans don't hire robots, and robots don't hire computers. People are going to hire you because of who you are, not in spite of it. Now, I can already hear, right? People are saying, but Eric, what about the ATS? What about the algorithms? We've heard that you've got to have an ATS-friendly resume. How's that going, my friends? Right? How's that going? Because I will tell you right now that we still have thumbs. And I'm a big fan of AI. And at the end of the day, it's going to be a human that hires you, not a computer. Yes, there are different companies that have software and they're all different and there is no uniform algorithm and they all handle them in different ways. So if you've been busy trying to please the ATS system, some of you may have even invested in an ATS-friendly resume. Stop doing that. It's not working. Okay? It's not working. Humans hire humans. So the opportunity for you is to be more human. This is great news. Let all of your competitors go out there and be proficient in Microsoft Office. Right? We want to give them evidence that you're more human because, my friends, there's only one reason they will hire you. It's not your skills. It's not your experience. It's not even who you know. The one reason they will hire you is because they trust you. And trust, as Brene Brown has taught us, is built through vulnerability. So those of you who have been real busy hiding your age on your resume, right? Because, you're worried about ageism. Like, what does that do to trust? Right? I want you to trust me and hire me, yet I don't trust you not to be ageist. I'm going to hide some stuff. Don't do that. Right? I'm not going to say there aren't isms out there. Racism, sexism, ageism, lots of isms. It sucks. It's unfair. I'm sorry. And at the end of the day, the way we're going to get them to hire us, if they trust us, the way we're going to get them to trust us is if we trust them and we should give them evidence that we're more human. Exactly. Okay. So perfect example. Well, I'll give you a real example. I'll tell the story, Tom. So one time I had 2 applications. They were virtually identical. And Tom put on his resume that he played the trumpet. Who'd we choose? Tom, because at least he played the trumpet, right? If you don't have information in your application that gives evidence about who you are, you're really missing the boat. I can't tell you how often clients do this. Right? All the time. We had somebody last year at the bottom of her resume, she put 2 truths and a lie. Brilliant. I stole that right away. She got 2 offers, 2 interviews and 2 offers just from that. So now it's on my resume. I also have things I'm most afraid of. Yeah. Right? Authenticity is the name of the game. It's essential, Nirav. That's right. That's right. That's right, Bill. And you're right about, I hear you saying you're Black and qualified. You're absolutely right, Bill. And I'm not saying any of this is fair. And the reason that they're going to hire you is because of who you are, not in spite of it. And that's for everybody. That's for everybody. So Jay, I'm curious if you have on your resume that you play trumpet. Just saying. Okay. Authenticity is your superpower. 100%. All right, let's go on to this next strategy here. Let's talk about Abe Lincoln. He said, give me 6 hours to cut down a tree and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. And this brings us to strategy number 4, right? Which has to do with systems. Okay, systems. The reason you're getting the results you're getting right now is not because there's anything wrong with you. It's not because you have mustard on your shirt. It's that the results you're currently getting are perfectly attuned to your current system. So if you want to get different results, the opportunity is to come up with a different system, right? Now you can spend a lot of time and money doing that on your own, or like there's systems we've already figured out. The program I offer is one of them, right? You want to work smart, not hard, right? And once you work smart, then you iterate, right? Then you ramp things up, you scale things up, right? Oh, Christopher says, but we need to make our resume concise. Christopher, I love you, man. That's an interesting story you've been telling yourself. I've never heard anybody getting hired because they had a concise resume. I have heard them getting hired because the employer trusted them, right? So Madhav, you just booked a call. Madhav, you're going to show up for that call. You're going to be open to investing in yourself, and you're going to be ready to get hired fast, right? I see you there, Madhav. I see you. Okay. And Carolyn says, I'm 74, still wanting to work. Yeah, I got you there, Carolyn. And you could probably bring so much to an employer. And if you're sitting there, Carolyn, thinking, oh, there's nobody my age, like, yeah, I've had clients way older than you, Carolyn. So just saying, okay. You want to work smart, not hard, right? There's no such thing as a failed experiment. And remember, this isn't about you. It's about your systems. A lot of you right now, this is your current system, right? This is your current system right now. And I got to hand it to you. You've done a lot with this system, right? You've got like the sticky gear shift and right? I mean, you've been doing wonders with this system, and you're wondering why you can't steer yourself to a job. Here's what you don't realize. This is the system that's available, right? And you've been doing a lot with this, but there's all kinds of, buttons and levers and stuff that you don't even know about, right? I appreciate that, Chris. I appreciate you too. So like there's all kinds of things available to you. So the opportunity for you is to adopt a different system than the one you've been getting. Then you're going to get different results. Okay. So how do you put all of this to work? So, look, folks, I mean, I work with clients of all kinds. They've come to a call just like this. Let me show you one of them. So we're going to show you a guy named Andrew. Awesome guy. He worked with us earlier this year. He saw everything I was talking about, signed up for the program, and just kind of like did the stuff we talked about. And this was his result. Let's show him, Andrew, please.
I got a job offer thanks to Win at Work. I really appreciate all the help and materials and one-on-one coaching. I applied cold to a organization I was interested in and received the automated response, we're pursuing other candidates. And then there was another posting for the same role or similar role in the same organization. And this time I really used a lot of the Win at Work process. I also really appreciate the coaching I received on interview prep from my coach, Patrick, and the Win at Work materials on interview prep. I feel like I really impressed the HR recruiter. She scheduled me for another interview with program directors a couple days later. They were also really impressed and said I had a lot of good answers, and I really just did what I learned in this program. Make it about them, talk about them, be authentic, and now I have my new job offer.
Yay, Andrew. Yay, Andrew. So look, I'm going to talk more about the program that Andrew went through. And again, if you're interested in getting help, right, the next step is to talk to us. The only requirements to book a call with us is you're going to show up. You're not going to ghost us. Some of you have gotten ghosted by recruiters. That doesn't feel good. Don't do that to us, right? You're going to be at least open to the idea of investing in yourself, and you're going to be ready to get started right now. So we just dropped the link in the chat. So if you're interested in that, you can go ahead, because the calendars are going to fill up really quick because we have a big crowd today. So that's the program we're going to talk about in a sec. All right, guys. So here, let's go into 9 tactics here, right? 9 tactics. Here we go. Buckle up because we're going to go a little fast. Here we go. All right, folks. So if you get nothing else out of this workshop, I want you to really pay attention. If you're watching the replay, I'm going to talk real fast right now because you probably have them on 2 times speed, and this is really going to freak. I like to do that for the people watching the replay just to wake them up. Here's the metaphor. There's a lake, and in the middle of the lake, somebody's drowning. Now they're surrounded, Brenda and Steven, right? They're surrounded by other people in little boats. Okay. Somebody's in the middle of the lake drowning and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. If that was a job search, metaphorically, who's the person drowning? Put it in the chat if you would, please. Let's see. I know people are going to get this right? Because now you've been listening. So somebody's in the middle of the lake drowning and they're surrounded by other people in little boats. Who's the person drowning? Put it in the chat. Let's see if anybody gets the right answer. So Dan says me, right? I see Melissa says me. I know it might feel that way. Oh, Chris Wolf. Chris Wolf said the employer. Hal. Okay. So yeah. So Marilee and Hal. I saw Chris, Marilee, and Hal. You guys got the right answer, right? And we're going to give it to Sarah Stevens too, right? The organizations, right? So let's make sure we take care of those guys in terms of the LinkedIn course. It may feel like we're the ones drowning, especially when we've got bills and we've got family members, but in actuality, we're actually the ones in the boat. It's the employers that are drowning. And the reason we know they're drowning is they've told us. They said, help, I'm drowning. We got too much work, right? And it's we're the ones in the boat. And this brings us to the first tactic, which is mindset, right? You can have your resume and your cover letter and your networking, all that stuff dialed in. And if your mindset is messed up, it won't matter. They will smell it. Most people are focused on, I hope they pick me. You might say things like, I'd be really good for you. Don't do that, right? Don't say that, right? Realize that you're coming from a place of service. They'd be lucky to get you. Okay. You want to approach from a place of service. Remember, people don't want to be sold. Selling yourself is weird. This isn't about talking about yourself. It's about, recognizing, saying, hey, you're drowning. That's terrible. That's terrifying. That must be horrible. Let's have a conversation to see how we can get you out of the water. What's important here is not that I'm the right one that pulls you out of the water. What's important here is you don't drown and die. That's the energy you want to come with. And the good news here is when you're coming from that place of service, we can be willing to offend in the name of service, right? This isn't about us looking good. It's not about us really caring what they think about us at all, right? Because if somebody was drowning, we wouldn't worry about looking good. We wouldn't even worry if we just wouldn't worry about it. We'd be so focused on service that it makes us dangerous in the best way. Yeah. Hey, Darcy M, you just booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Darcy. Okay. Here we go. Tactic number 2. Some of you may be familiar with the show Deadliest Catch, right? Which is, Alaskan fishermen, on the Bering Sea. They drop these big steel cages on the bottom of the ocean floor with a little bit of bait because they're trying to catch some crab. So there, Charlie, the crab, comes along and he says, aha, there's some bait. So Charlie crawls in and then Cheryl crawls in, all the different crabs, Bob the crab and Sally the crab. They all come in, they're all eating the bait. And all of a sudden the bait's gone. Now here's the interesting part. If and when any one of those crabs inside the crab pot tries to crawl out, the other crabs will pull them in. Meanwhile, more and more crabs are joining because crabs like to be with other crabs. It makes them feel safe. And here's what they don't understand, right? If a crab tries to escape, they'll even pull off. Hey, Dan Johnson, I see you just booked a call. Way to go. We look forward to talking to you, right? They'll even pull off a crab's leg. They'll wind up doing a crab murder to keep their crabs in the crab cage. And of course, all of them get pulled up. And this brings us to tactic number 2, which is the environment. Some of you are thinking, oh, I'm not getting traction in my job search because I'm lazy or not motivated, or maybe I had a boss, a couple of times ago that was mean to me. And I'm sorry if that's happened to you. And that's not likely the reason you're having trouble in your job search. It's very likely it's your environment. Environment eats motivation for lunch, right? And I'm talking about all your environment. I'm talking about your physical surroundings, your social surroundings, your psychological, your emotional surroundings, your spiritual surroundings. It all matters, right? It really, really all matters, right? Some of you are familiar with the idea of reference group, where the average weight, income, education of the 5 people we hang out with most, they don't even have to be living people. We can be reading authors that died. We can be reading Hemingway, right? And we'll be on the same level as Hemingway, So it's a really, really big mistake to not consider your environment. It's one of the things we help clients with. It's one of the things that helps them get traction real damn fast, right? You want to be intentional with your environment, right? You want to safeguard it. Okay, next tactic. We're trucking right along here. Sometimes I'll talk to prospective, I'll talk to people who are looking for jobs, and I'll say, hey, Steven, I see you there, Steven, right? I'm just keeping an eye on the chat here. So I'll talk to people and I'll say, hey, Avinash, I see you booked a call. Way to go. Nice. We look forward to talking to you. I'll say, hey, what do you want to do? And they'll say, well, I want to help people. And I'm like, that's beautiful. And it's really vague. I'll be like, well, how much money you want to make? They'll be like anywhere from 50 to 150,000. And this brings us to tactic number 3, which is vision, right? What's the proverb? Like, hey, Dan J, we look forward to talking to you, right? Like the proverb's like, where there is no vision, the people perish. Yep. Right. So we want to, so if we don't have vision, right, we want to have the compass before we go into the forest, right? We want to have the map, right, before we get lost, right? So a lot of people don't have clarity. Hey, Lydia, we see you. You're going to book a call. Awesome. We look forward to talking to you. Many people like don't have clarity around the salary they want, the occupation they want, the goals. And this is related to a thing called the reticular activating system, which means our brain will literally find what we tell it to see, right? There's this great Bruce Lee quote. He says, be careful what you tell yourself. Your body's listening. If I said the color red right now, all of a sudden, all of you are more aware of the color red just because I said it, right? So you got to have this clarity and specificity in your job search. And if you don't have clarity around what they need and how you can help, you won't get traction. Right? There's a reason that race car drivers, when they drive 500 miles in a circle, they don't look at the outer wall. Because when they do, that's where the car tends to go and they crash. Right? And so if you don't have vision, you're like one of those race car drivers driving around in a circle. Hey, Maywin, we look forward to talking to you, right? You're like one of those race car drivers driving around in a circle. You don't want that to happen to you. Okay? You want to have clarity around what you want. Okay, here we go. Next thing for the chat. Here we go right now. If I was to go to the store and I was to buy this, right? What would I be buying? Put it in the chat if you would, please. What would I be buying if I went to a store and I bought this? What would I be buying? Put it in the chat. Let's see if anybody gets it right. Let's see. What would I be buying? I'm in the mood to give some stuff away. So Guy says a drill. Sandra says a tool, right? Chris says tools, right? Justin says electric drill. Haven't seen it right. What would I be buying, Julie? Julie says if I need a battery, right? Marilee says drill, right? Mayun says a class act for Yobi. Scott says a drill with no battery. I have not seen the right answer yet. Brenda says help. Derek says a solution. Not bad, Derek, right? So here's what I'm actually buying, folks. I'm actually buying holes because I don't need this sitting around my garage. Okay. Like as beautiful as this is, I don't need this weird yellow thing sitting around my garage. What I actually need is a hole, right? There you go. Melissa Hall. There you go. We're going to give it to Melissa Hall. She was the first one I saw, right? We're buying holes when we buy this. So Melissa, we're going to send you that LinkedIn course. Okay. And actually, Melissa, we're going to still send you the course, but you're wrong. I actually don't need a bunch of holes in my wall. What I actually need is a place to put a hook. And actually, I don't even really need a hook. I'll gash my arm open. What I really need is a place to hang the picture. And actually, I don't even really need a place to hang the picture. What I actually want is the feeling I get when I look at the picture of my beautiful family that's hanging on the hook, that's in the hole that was made by the drill. And this brings us to tactic number 4, which is safety, right? A lot of job seekers are out there just talking about themselves. That's a hot dumpster fire that gets us nowhere. Some of you are talking about them, and what you're talking about is the drill. When the opportunity instead is to talk about the thing that keeps them up at night when they're in bed, looking at the ceiling, trying to go to sleep. If you can get to that black swan, if you can get to what they really, you can make them feel seen, heard, and understood, right? If you can offer them and reveal to them what they like, want, or need, game changer. Do you see how this is so much more sophisticated than playing around with ATS and worrying about your age, talking about yourself? This is why clients in my program get hired fast, right? What keeps them up at night? How can you make them feel seen, heard, and understood? That's how you get hired fast. Okay, on to tactic number 5. This is a copy of my resume. It's sort of like the kitchen sink model home of all resumes. Resumes are pretty stupid, and they're the least bad way we've come up with yet to job search. And this brings us to tactic number 5, which is paper, right? You want to have, and I'm talking about your cover letter, your resume, your like all the paper you send. You don't want to follow best practices, right? You don't want your stuff to look like everybody else, right? Because that's a professional camouflage. You don't want that. You want to communicate in a way that they cannot ignore, that makes you remarkable, as in easy to make remarks about, okay? So for instance, on my resume, I've got hyperlinks. Do you have hyperlinks on yours? I don't know if they'll click them, but at least it shows I know how to use technology. Some of you have resumes with that big paragraph up top talking about, I am a distinguished professional with 30 years experience. And let me say more about me. And I'll give you no context whatsoever. So and some of you will even put the title of the job you're applying to, right? So they get it and they're like, lo and behold, this person's an ancient Babylonian cabinet maker. What are the chances that's the job we're trying to hire for right now? It's meaningless, right? Don't do any of that, right? Make your resume about them. Get right to it, as Remus would say, right? That's how you get hired fast. Okay, so tactic number 6, here we go. If a job application submitted and there's no follow-up, does it even make a sound? I would humbly suggest to you that it does not, right? When you apply to a place, and I'm talking about when you get the interview, you apply, you're going to want to follow up. And I'll give you a hint right now. You don't want the follow-up to sound something like, hey, I just wanted to check in. I'm really passionate about your job. I think I'd be really good for you. Don't say any of that, because that's all about you. And that's selling yourself. Don't do that, right? You want to follow up from a place of service. Now, some of you right now are saying, but Eric, when I apply, they often don't put the contact info. Okay. So let's get that handled. I've got a little mini course. It's called How to Contact Anybody. We're going to put the link to my LinkedIn profile in the chat right now. If you go to that profile and you follow me, right? Friend me, follow me, and then you email me the word chicken, I will send you the link to the course, How to Contact Anybody. It's not that hard. And you're going to put it in the chat here. You're going to put it on LinkedIn on my profile after you followed me. You go do that, put the word chicken, we'll send you the link, you'll get the free course, right? There are ways to contact people. And by the way, we probably don't want to contact the recruiter because they're a professionally trained ninja at keeping you away from the hiring manager. Because if they're out of the equation, then we really don't need the recruiter and they don't need a commission or a job. So recruiter, you want to find the hiring manager. You want to make that person feel seen, heard, and understood. The chances are they speak your language. You understand their stuff way more than the 20-something-year-old recruiter. No offense to our recruiter friends out there. Okay. So initiative is rewarded. People are going to believe what you show more than tell them. Great example. There's a guy named Ryan Serhant who he had a reality TV show. He's written a couple of books. He's a real estate agent I see you there, Rochelle. You're going to want to do that on LinkedIn, Rochelle, right? So on my profile, email me after you follow me. So Ryan has this rule. He sort of is really responsive on email rather, except when people apply to his company, right? And they invariably send a thank you message. He intentionally doesn't respond. He waits. And then if they write again, he sends them a really discouraging message, kind of and it's only if they email a third time that he's like, okay, why don't you come in and talk? Because it's a test, right? He's like, do they have initiative? Right? Treat every application you apply to that same way. Show them that you're willing to offend in the name of service. You're not here to please them. You're here to serve, right? Super powerful because most of your competitors are out there doing the exact opposite. All right, guys, here's another one. Tactic number 7. This is one where a lot of times my clients get the most traction, right? The most traction. What is the echo on here, chicken? I don't know. So yeah, guys, you're going to want to put, hey, Austin S., you booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, right? So you're going to want to put that on LinkedIn, okay? And we'll send you the course there, okay? So tactic number 7. Some of you right now, if I said, well, how many contacts do you have? You'd be like, well, I have like 1,000 or so. I'd be like, that's beautiful. And then if I said, how many of those know you're on the job search? We'll be like, oh, a good number. And I'd say, well, how many? Well, maybe 30%. Okay, so around 300. And I'd say, how would they know? Well, I posted it on LinkedIn 3 months ago, so they know. And I'd say, really? So they would have had to gone to LinkedIn 3 months ago to your profile, happen to see your stuff, and then remember it all this time. And now you'd be getting a little nervous, right? You ever seen the Academy Awards, right? Where some actor gets up there and she's winning the big prize and she accepts it. And then she says, yeah, I got nobody to thank. Everybody's sort of awkward and there's all this. No, that doesn't happen, right? When people do great things, they get up there and they say, I got to thank this person, this person, this, and they're trying to drag them off stage, right? Asking for help makes you look strong, not weak. Because when we ask others for help, it shows them that their help is worth asking for, okay? Some of you are real squirrely about asking for help. Don't do that, right? You've probably helped people, and when you did, you felt good. Why are you being so stingy giving that opportunity to others? Don't do that, right? And by the way, asking for help makes you vulnerable, and vulnerable builds trust, and trust gets you hired. And you want to have a system for this, right? Some of you are like, well, I reach out to people individually. No good. It's like fishing, right? You got to get with a fishing line. You got to get the right bait on the right fish at the right depth at the right time. I mean, it's possible. And man, that sounds like a lot of work. I mean, you might get lucky. Instead, you want to filter the ocean. You want to have a system in your job search for filtering the ocean of people that know and love you. Because when you do, it doesn't matter where the opportunities are. You're going to find them, right? Because if you gamble and guess, you're almost always going to get it wrong. All right, here we go. We're on the final stretch here, folks. Tactic number 8, interviews. Who would like the best interview advice in the world? I'm going to give it to you anyway. Here it is. You may want to write this down. So here it is. When you're in an interview, here's the advice. I'm about to bestow the advice. Here it is. Don't answer their questions. If you've been going to interviews focused on answering their questions and you haven't been successful, I love you and I'm sorry. Because really the only question that's ever being asked in an interview is this: can we trust you? Can we trust you? They're just saying things like, tell me about yourself, or tell me your greatest weakness, or tell me about a time. All they're really asking is, can we trust you? Now, they can't say that because of society. And even if they did and we said, sure, they wouldn't believe us because people believe what we show them more than what we tell them, right? If we had a universal translator, we said, tell us about a time you made a mistake. It would go, wah, wah, wah. Can I trust you? Right? It'd be a pretty good SNL sketch, right? So we want to, instead of worrying about the sort of BS question they ask, which isn't really the question they're asking, we want to give answers and tell stories that help them build trust, right? That's what we want to do. It's really, really, really important. Okay. So don't focus on the questions, focus on the answers, right? Give answers that are going to help build trust. Stephanie, we look forward to talking to you, Stephanie, right? Okay, here we go. Here we have final tactic. We're in the home stretch, your offers. Some of you, or sometimes I'll meet with people and I'll say, okay, folks, how many applications are you sending out? How many places you applying to? And they're like, well, Eric, you got to understand, I'm really deliberate where I apply. And I'm like, really? Say more. And they're like, well, because if I apply for a job, I might not like it and I might not be qualified. And if I get it, then I have to move the family to Connecticut and default negative future. 2 things for you. 1, you don't have to worry if you're qualified for a job before you apply. They will have an opinion. Okay. So you don't have to worry about it. 2, you don't have to worry if you want a job unless and until you get the offer, because before then, you don't really know what you're evaluating, right? I mean, it's perfectly natural to consider it. So coming from that place of, this isn't for me to judge if I'm qualified, and I don't know if I want it, and instead replacing that with what's possible for this company, what's possible for them, right? And if I see possibility for them, I'm going to apply. Right. And in the interview, I hear opportunities where they're looking for help. And I have a history of helping other organizations with that. I might tell those stories and I'm going to leave the space for them to connect the dots. I will never say, this is good for you, because that would be selling. And I don't know that that's true. Right. How could I? So don't worry about this stuff until you get the offer. Apply liberally from a place of service. It really matters. Okay, folks, you guys have done such a great job. So write this down. 4 Hey, Bobby E, like, you booked a call. By the way, guys, we've had a lot of people book calls. So if for some reason you go to our call link and everything's booked, just come back in like 5 minutes because I'll open up some more time. Okay. So like, you're going to want to write these down, right? 4 strategies, 9 tactics. Here they go. So some of you are hearing this and you're like, oh dear, this is different from what I've been doing. This is different from what I've heard before, right? Some of you have already booked calls. That's great. We look forward to talking to you. You're going to show up, right? You're going to be open to investing yourself, no strings, and you're going to be ready to get started, right? If you're just kind of wanting to kick the tires, or you like me, you want to meet me, don't do that, right? Come back when you're ready. Okay. Some of you are like, you know what? I'm going to take all this stuff. I'm going to go do it on my own. That's beautiful. And a lot of times I hear from people 6 months later where, they've tried it, and I'll be like, okay, show me what you're doing. Right. Hey, Cindy, I see you. I look forward to talking to you. Right. I'll be like, show me what you're doing. And they're talking about the drill instead of what they're staring at the ceiling about. Okay. So the last thing you want to do, hey, Will, we look forward to talking to you. The last thing you want to do, right, is be somebody on the hamster wheel. Don't be that person, right? You want to get different results by doing something different than you've been doing, right? You don't want to be the definition of insanity. You're doing the same thing over and over and wanting to get a different result. The things I'm offering here, by the way, are not Googleable. Okay. These aren't things that are Googleable. These aren't things that you've probably heard other places, because these are things that I've come up with on my own in my own career. They're things that I've seen have worked for clients. Okay. Like I mentioned, I have a program. Some of you are like, I'm out of here. He wants to charge me real American dollars to, now isn't it interesting that you're wanting somebody to pay you real American dollars, right? So I think that's just kind of interesting. But I have a program. It's awesome. Comes with lots of one-on-one coaching with me and others, right? I've got a whole team of coaches that are awesome. They're better coaches than I am. There's a whole system around it. It comes with a group coaching call and an online community and a course, and it's amazing. And we don't have to worry if it works because we've got the receipts. So helped a lot of people over the last 5 or more years get hired. So Jessie, she was, I just talked to her the other day, based out on the West Coast. She was somebody that joined our program after looking for about 6 months. And she got a couple offers. She kept getting offers for jobs she didn't want, right? And then she got an offer for a job she really wanted, and she's in it now. It's awesome, right? We got Rob. He started our program. He hadn't really even started his job search, but he wanted to make sure he wasn't somebody that was on the job search for like 6 months. So he joined our program. We got him hired in about 6 weeks. Wayne got a bunch of offers during our program that he said no to and finally said yes. And Cindy's asking, do we have industry specific support? So we do, Cindy. I mean, we sort of span all industries. And the thing about it is, a lot of times people think, oh, well, certain industries, get jobs in certain ways. Also, sometimes people will say, well, what about CEOs or what about, scientists or all these sorts of things? My experience is everybody's different. Everybody puts their shorts on one leg at a time. It's much more unique to the specific job seeker than any sort of industry. So you'll see people out there like, we help tough people or we help mid-career people. That's fine. But like, in my experience, people that happen to have the same title or be in the same industry are as different as everybody else. So I haven't found industries to be, that's my experience. So there's Amy, right? She was with us she got close a couple times. She got like right to the end in a couple interviews, and then she finally got across the finish line. John was a CEO. He doing fractional stuff. We got him hired. Philip was awesome. He's a early professional. We got him hired. So let's talk about Angel, right? Actually, we're going to show a video of Angel. If we would just let's show him Angel. Let's show what happened for Angel. Roll it, please. In the time we've got left, I'm curious, especially if there's somebody we haven't heard from yet. They've had a win, a loss. Angel, I got to ask you, what do we know, if anything? What do we know?
I got the job! Yay!
Whoa!
The offer. I'm moving in a week. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when we first met, you're like, oh, like, let's get something by your birthday. And my birthday is in 4 days, so I was able to do it. Yay!
And I just want to acknowledge you. Like, you dove in, you did it, you did the work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It would have been possible without like signing up for this program. Truly, I think it made the difference for me.
So good, Angel.
Yeah.
Really happy for you.
Yeah.
Super awesome. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Yay, Angel. Yeah. So she just attended a call like this. She was really worried about money, whether she could afford stuff. And she signed up and she got hired. So some of you are, by the way, are thinking, well, I'm just going to think about it, right? I'm just going to think about getting help. I'm going to keep doing what I've been doing. And it's fine. But what you don't realize is there's a cost involved, right? So if this is like the annual salary that you're looking for, and Yogi, yeah, we can help you starting back after a career break, 100%, right? So like, and I see you marking questions there, team. That's a good job, right? So if this is your annual salary, this is how much it's costing you to be out of work every month. This is how much it's costing you per week. So if by joining a program like this, all we do is we get you hired a couple of weeks sooner, which we would. And a lot of times we help them negotiate salaries that more than pay for the price of our program. Like it's worth it. Right. So again, it's the idea is you get hired in 3 months or less, right? We work with you, right? This is a great time to sign up because like we're heading into a period now. Sometimes August is a little sleepy, but like, let's get you hired by Labor Day or thereabouts, right? Things are going to explode. Katrina, we so look forward to talking to you, right? Like things are going to explode like in September, but you want to lay the groundwork now, right? You can think about it in summer. And then when things sort of like ramp up, we'll talk about the guarantee, Jason. Let's make sure we mark that. So like when things ramp up, right, instead of spending the first couple of months of the fall, like getting your act together, you'll be ready when it starts, right? You really want to do that, right? So we help with LinkedIn and cover letters and networking and follow-up and interviews and everything involved with your job search. And the most important thing we help with is your mindset. because you can have all that other stuff dialed in and yeah, no good. So those of you who are worried about money, right? We have a bunch of different payment plans because a lot of times what I hear is people say, well, can I pay you after I get the job? No, because that's a disincentive for you getting the job. But we have payment plans that start at like a couple $100 a month. People can get financing. It's really affordable because we just want you to get hired fast. That's the idea. And we place 100% of people that join the program and stick with it. And the deal is if after 3 months, like you don't have the job you want, this is the guarantee, right? We stay with you until you do. Right? We're not going to leave anybody beside the side of the road. And if we don't think we can help you, we're not going to let you sign up, which is why you want to book a call, right? Lots of people, we've helped tons of people, right? So I want to invite you to a strategy session, right? We're going to drop that link in the, yeah, of course, Marcos, we work with wives, right? So, book a call. There's the link right now. The only thing is I just opened up some more time while Angel was talking too, because I was worried our time was booked up. You're going to show up for the call, right? You're not going to cancel. Right? If you're just sort of kicking the tires and you're just sort of like curious, like I love you, don't book a call. My team's not that big. We've already booked a ton of people. We're going to get a ton of people hired from this workshop. And if you, you want to at least be open to investing in yourself, right? If you're not sure, that's fine. But if you're just like, I can't spend a single dollar on this, then I love you. Don't sign up for this call because it's just going to be frustrating. And if you're on this call, you can probably afford $1, especially with financing. Okay, folks. So that's what it looks like. Enough of all that. Let's take some questions, right? Hey, Stephen G, we look forward to talking to you. Okay, let's take some questions. I'm going to show you the full girth of my giant head. And sorry, we ran a little long, right? But I'm going to give you guys some extra time. Let's talk about questions. All right, let's Jessa and Anne and Jelly. What's our first question? So Cindy says, how do you make LinkedIn right for them? If that's a broad audience? Well, you can go to my LinkedIn profile and take a look, right? In my byline, instead of saying, I am a master ICF certified coach that's helped over 1,000 people land jobs, that would be me. I say that, but I start with, let's get you hired, right? And in my bio, it says, you're somebody this, you. I'm talking to them rather. I mean, eventually I talk about me, but I'm talking about them first, Cindy. All right, next question. What do we got? Alex says, how do you make the CV about them? Well, what you want, Alex, is yes, your name is probably at the top and it's going to say some biographical stuff about you. But the way we make it about them is when they read your resume, they see the possibility for themselves, right? And there's a process for that we help clients with. It's not particularly difficult. It just takes a little bit of strategy. So that's how we make a resume about them. Okay, next question. What else do we have here? Sandra says, if the first filter is the ATS, how do we get our authentic application to a human? Well, first of all, we don't know that the first filter is ATS, but let's say for argument's sake, it is. You circumvent, Sandra, you circumvent it, right? Somewhere behind the scenes is a real live human who is dying to have your help. So you reach out to them, you make them feel seen, heard, and understood. And by the way, here's an interesting thing. Those of you who've stuck, hey, Trista, I saw you just booked a call. Way to go, Trista, right? So this actually happened with Andrew. Right? If you've been paying attention to those automated no's you've been getting, stop doing that, please. Right? Because when you get one of those automated no's, you can just crumple it up and throw it away. Right? Because the opportunity instead is to realize that you're going to reach out to them and you're going to make them feel seen and heard and understood. Let's say you reach out to the CEO, right? And you say, hey, you and your colleagues are doing this amazing stuff. Thanks for all you do. The CEO goes like, do I know you? You write back, you say, no. The reason I've been thinking about you is I just applied. CEO immediately is going to send that to HR, right? And say, this is one worth looking for. All of a sudden, HR is sitting there saying, we just sent that person a no. How quickly do you think they're going to flip the switch in their system? Real damn quick, right? Hey, Karen, you just booked a call. We look forward to talking to you. So that's sort of the strategy here. David, how do you get around companies that hire based on DEI? Well, first of all, David, that presumes that DEI is an issue, right? It's not an issue in my experience. But, and again, this goes to any sort of ism, right? Ageism, racism, ableism, right? They're going to hire you because of who you are, not in spite of it, right? So let's say it's a situation where they already have a lot of you, right? Let's say it's a company of 100 men, right? And they have no women. And David, I'm going to presume you're a man, and you're up against, and so they're really looking to hire a woman, right? Because they're wanting to be diverse. That's all good. And, ideally, if you make them feel seen, heard, and understood, and they trust you the most, they're going to hire you That's actually how DEI is supposed to work, by the way. And it often does in my experience. Anyway, don't know if that answer is very satisfying, but that's my experience. Okay, Drew M. booked a call. Awesome. Carolyn says, I'm 74 years old. I hear you there, right? And Carolyn, I bet you have so much to offer an employer. So you could focus on your age, or if they say something, and again, this would be illegal, but if they said, wow, you're awfully old, you could be like, yeah, we could talk about me and my age, or we could talk about what's possible for you. I had a client earlier this year. He was actually your same age, 74. And we got him hired because he just declined. I mean, Carolyn, you're older than I am. You've got some wisdom. You've been around, right? At the end of the day, nobody really cares. What they're really thinking about is themselves. So that's the opportunity for you. And I so appreciate you being here. Okay. Let's see here. Derek says, how to few knowledge check quizzes on nitty gritty processes. How do you navigate that? Yeah, you do your best. And because basically what they're trying to do there, Derek, is to quantify you, because somebody's behind the scenes too nervous to actually use their human intelligence to determine whether or not you're some, so they're wanting to say, well, if we can just quantify people, then it'll be fair. Yeah, impossible, right? So you do your best, you connect with them. All right, hey, Jack, you just booked a call. Look forward to talking to you. Okay, Sarah, we're going to take 2 more questions. I so appreciate you all. And if I didn't get to your questions, please, you guys are booked on LinkedIn, write me and ask me these questions and I'll be sure to answer them. So Eric, tell us why we should trust you besides your credentials. Well, definitely, I love this question, Sarah. So definitely not my credentials. That would absolutely be the worst reason to hire me, right? Because people have credentials for all sorts of reasons. The reason to hire me, Sarah, is because you hear possibility here for you. Right? That's the only reason. I'm not going to say that, well, I'm really good at this stuff. Nope. I can tell you I've helped a whole ton of people get hired, but am I the right coach for you? Sarah, I love you and I have no idea. Only you can decide that. So, okay, Derek, you just booked a call. Awesome. Okay, last question here. Do you have interesting? Yeah. So yeah, we and I sort of talked about this a little bit before, Cindy. My experience is, people get jobs because of who they are, not because, sometimes you'll see this on LinkedIn saying, I'm a PhD. Look, I have a doctorate and I don't start put us the thing saying I'm a PhD. I don't do that because I'm not, right? I'm a person. And so are you. So is everybody else on this call, right? So look, guys, I so acknowledge you for being here. Just acknowledge you for, if you've been on the job hunt for a really long time, please know that there are bright things on the horizon for you. I promise you. You don't have to keep doing what you've been doing and get the same results you've been getting, because you could be doing that for a really, really long time. And eventually you are you will figure this out after you've spent enough time and money and stressed out enough and stressed out your family enough, or you could just get this handled. We could just help you take care of this so you can get on to the next thing. I am cheering for you 100,000,000%. I so appreciate you being here, and I hope you all have the best day. You can do this, my friends. I am on your side, in your corner. I'm rooting for you. Take care.